Top of the morning, everyone. We are here once again with Dan John for our weekly live Q&A and general jam session on all things lifting and whatnot. And Dan, great to see you as always. We've just been celebrating the nicer weather that seems both of us are experiencing. Got to spend a lot of time outside yesterday at a picnic. Got another picnic actually coming up here. So a lot of picnics going on right now.
Oh, excellent. Good.
Picnic season. So I'm doing a lot of picnicking. How about you, Dan? What have you been up to? Yep.
Well, Erica had bunion surgery, and then she got I thought it was a sinus infection, but she just has a really massive kind of cold. So, and then I'm also I got one of my grand puppies here for the nights.
Oh,
so I have this opportunity to have little Gracie, the corgi, who's wonderful, but she is a yapper, and that's
very funny. Yeah,
that's hard. But
I think I told you I have a daughter that's obsessed with corgis because there's one in the neighborhood. And,
they're darling little puppies. They're darling.
They're cute. They're cute. They're little corgi butts and whatnot. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I yesterday had a really good incline workout, and then I got 12 chin-ups on Friday, and then
cooking with gas. 12.
Yeah, last night I got I had a good recommendation from the person who coaches me, and I bought a leg extension machine, and I put it together last night.
Awesome.
So
what have you been doing? I got to ask about the chin-ups. Elbows feeling good? No issues with elbows in the chin-ups? And how are you approaching the volume and all that?
I do 2 sets once a week. 2 sets. The first set I try to go to. I listen. It's always a smooth pull, and if I'm done. That's
and you are doing the chin-ups, palms facing you.
Chin-ups.
Got it.
Make sure those fingers are the pinky is pointing at my nose so that I get. It's really more of a. I mean, it's a bicep friendly exercise for me. As many people, if you're reading my stuff, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the exercise. I think it has great value. But boy, it can be overdone like that, and that is an issue. Once you ping those elbows, they don't. I gotta tell you,
I know. I can tell you all about it.
Elbows. The number of questions I get this time of year on my lower back hurts always amazes me. But then I think about this is also the time most people start doing their gardening. This is when they start, you're pulling one dandelion from being hurt for a month, But I would say of all the things we do in this field, the most clear path to an injury I see is the elbow with the pull-up. So when someone says my back hurt and you say, how'd you hurt it? There's always like this, but with pull-ups, it's always like, I was doing this thing, and there's always a straight line. Shoulder injuries tend to have a story. Knee injuries, like my friend Frank. I mean, he was out of bounds and he got cheap shot in a football game. They're straight line.
Done. Yeah, no mystery there, right?
Yeah, but elbows tend to be a little bit straight line too. But things are good, man. Body weight. My goal is to get down to 206. I've been 207 like 6 of the last 9 days, and I'm like,
come on,
give me that 206. Give me. But things are good. Riding a lot.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about pull-ups is they're like, they just keep as long as you're prudent about the elbow thing. And I've told people before, man, I've made my elbows angry with pull-ups, so I know about that. But they're just like, to stay good at pull-ups, you gotta kind of have a lot of ducks in a row. You gotta have your weight somewhat in check.
Yep.
Gotta have a good grip strength, good upper body strength. Your mobility can't be complete trash, right? Like, it forces a sort of generalism, and there's something to be said about that. And there's probably something to be said more about that in general. Like, what other lifts do you think encourage that, Dan? Lifts that say you maybe don't have to be excellent at a whole bunch of things, but it'll keep you honest about several different things to be able to do these types of moves decently well. There's some value in that, isn't there?
Yeah, let's do this. In the Olympic lifts, it's a squat snatch. I mean, to snatch body weight, the load on the bar won't be very much. It's your body weight.
There's a good Dan John blog post. Lifts that keep you honest, right? I like this. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and so it's just, but the mobility, the flexibility, the timing, the ability to go from a hinge to a squat in moment. In the power lifts, the one that keeps you honest. That's interesting. When I first saw the power lifts, I would have thought it was a squat, but now with all the equipment, so the power lifts, let's just push those to the side, huh?
Yeah, maybe they don't keep you too honest.
Yeah, because it's a sport, so I get it. I have no issues with people doing all the wraps and stuff because it's a sport. I understand that. In your calisthenic family, I like what you said about the pull-up. I would even toss some simple ones like the monkey bars, or those one you go from rings, monkey bars or doing the rings.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
The thing about monkey bars is that you can. It's a great assessment to go go to the playground, do a set of monkey bars. If you can't, well, because my grip's bad. Well, is your grip bad because you have a 200-pound weight around your waist called fat? Your elbows hurt, your shoulders hurt. Well, okay, it'd be a fun little. I like this idea. Yeah. So, but generally, do you notice how almost instantly we went to the overhead? Overhead brachiating work almost instantly.
Yeah, the monkey work is for the same reason as the pull up, right? If you're going to be able to do that, to play around like a monkey, there's a lot of things kind of have to line up.
Yeah,
they do, right?
Yeah, and that's really kind of an interesting. I like this conversation. I'm not prepared for it.
I think sprinting's another good one, right? Like sprinting keeps you pretty honest. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that's why in high school did I stop hurdling? Yeah. So I never hurdled in college, not even a single time. But I hurdled. I did the high hurdles all through high school, and I tell you, there is something to be said about putting a barrier in the way and having to clear it.
Yeah, right.
So sprinting with something else, I love it. Fun question. Fun question.
Sprinting and pull-ups. There you go. Or chin-ups. Chin-ups. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, if all you did was sprint and chin-ups, it's not a bad program. Not bad.
Something to think about, gentle listeners. All right, let's dive into some questions here. Good morning, everyone. Great to see all of you, and some comments about the nice weather. Yes, it is good to have nice weather. Here's an interesting question. Jason says, "Hey, Pat and Dan, is it possible to do just one set of the armor building complex? And if so, how would you program it?" Well, I think it's possible, but is it recommended or useful or
just like 2 cleans, 1 press,
and 3 front squats, and then
how would you program it?
Well,
I think
not.
I think you might have to follow up, because I would say doing 2 clean to save the universe. I would be able to, and I'm not bragging, folks, be able to save the universe. Now, this is not the multiverse. I think I could probably go into my gym, put 2 bells on the ground, and do 2 cleans, 1 press, 3 front squats without any preparation at all. Yeah. But I think you have to clear this up a little bit.
Yeah, let us know what you're up to here, Jason. Because initially it just seems like way too little volume to be of much use. So we'll circle back to that.
Circling back, folks. Go.
Our friend Brigu says, Pat and Dan, your advice on how to train for a high rocks. I don't have access to a rower and ski erg. Congratulations on the 300th episode, Dan. Dan, I have to admit, I have to look into this high racks thing. Yeah, it's come up a number of times now, and I'm still pretty ignorant about what exactly it is. Maybe you know more than I do.
Yeah, it's a big group. It's a big group event. A lot of fun. You run, is it 2,000 meters, Brigu, and then 2,000 meters, and then you do a task. 2,000 meters, run a task. You know what?
So what's the difference between that and like the obstacle course races, like the Spartan race? Is the
it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more gym friendly. But
Okay.
I'm not qualified. I answered it on the website and on my podcast, Brigo, but I'm honestly not qualified to answer it personally. I mean, it's, and the thing is, it's, these things kind of have lives of their own. I mean,
Okay.
my
He says
grand,
he
yeah,
says
my
it's a
grand,
thousand. Yeah. He says 1,000-meter runs, and
right,
then there's 8 tasks. So
yeah,
you run that, you do a task
yeah,
8 times. Is that what it is? Okay. Interesting.
yeah. It's, yeah, it's just, I think they're great, like Spartan races and all these other things you see here that become that rise and fall here in Utah. I think they're great, and yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm done. Let's move on. Yeah,
Yeah, one more here. Justin says the tasks are exercises, so it's farmers walks, run. Okay, so it's not
yeah,
like trying to avoid electricity or something like
yeah. I
that.
think that'd be much better. I mean,
Yeah, it's a little more skin in the
there was a
game. I mean, I always come back to what we said before. I mean, specificity matters. You guys want to get good at this stuff, you got to figure out ways to do it. Yeah, there could be general
yeah,
carryover and gap filling from general strength training. But generally, if you want to get good at farmers walks, you got to pick up
yeah,
heavy things and walk them around, right?
yeah. I mean,
No mystery there.
you're gonna have to practice being tired doing the events, and there's the only way I can think of: get tired, row, get tired, do the skier, get tired, do farmer walks. But I honestly, let's
Yeah, I'm going to look into it, but you'll have to give me some time here. Justin says, our friend Justin says, doing any back work, whether it's chins or rows, with a supinated grip seems to keep his elbow stuff
yeah.
under control. So it's interesting. So if you've got I'd be curious, Jordan, what type of elbow stuff is it? Is it outside, inside?
Hmm.
And certainly I find that too. I mean, just sometimes just a subtle shift in the grip makes all the difference of whether my elbows are screaming at me the next day or not. Yep.
I mean, and that is the value of doing dumbbell rows, is that you can do that neutral grip. It just morphs into that neutral grip. You know what I mean? So row, row, and then but we once when you and that's another reason why I like those suspension trainer rows so much, is that you'll notice that even during the set your hands move.
Rotate through it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't invent a machine to make that happen, but yeah. So, on one of the forums I'm on, everyone's all of a sudden fallen in love with reverse grip bench presses, which was popular back in the early '80s. And I just remember one of the throwers at Utah State, the bar fell out of his hand, smashed his face, did massive jaw and teeth damage. So sometimes in the row family, I think it's a good idea, but sometimes we just run and take ideas too far. If you don't,
Yeah, no, I know didn't know him personally, but there was a horror story at a gym I was at a while ago where, yeah, like this close to it crushing his brain, right? But
yeah,
his face was never the same before after that. Similar type of story. So, yeah, just because you can doesn't always mean that you should.
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Common theme. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of different, grip stuff, I mean, I've always found that it's for the pulling. I always like to change the grips up just for the sake of trying to just, get strong from different angles. But as my elbows started barking, I found something similar that, the traditional pull-ups seem to really bark at me, but the more neutral grip
Yeah.
chin-ups were a bit more accessible, less aggravating and stuff like that. But it's to be honest, I've had a break from pull-ups for a while now, because my advice for any of the tendonitis and the elbow stuff is just give it more time than you think you need to let it heal, because man, I've hopped back into it just a little bit too soon. And once you flare it up again, there's another 3 to 6 months, right? Just
God,
it's such an annoying type of injury, just the recovery time for those things. So just you have to be patient.
Yeah, I remember giving myself 1 year for that back injury I had in '85. I gave myself a year. I just remember, well, of course, I just got back from Middle East. I was not feeling good physically because of the issues. And I picked up a typewriter, and my back it was like hit by a bolt of lightning. And I just gave myself grace for a year. I just said, I can't believe I was that dis not dis because I tend to, I tend to chase rabbits, and I was amazed. And so that's where I first got into walking, then riding my bike. My doctor said I should learn to swim bilaterally. That'll help my back. So I figured if I was walking, biking, and swimming bilaterally, I should do those sprint triathlons, and that was fun.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point because I was not at first, that disciplined or intelligent because I love doing pull-ups. It's one of those exercises we talk about. There's those exercises that you're just kind of naturally good at, right? I like them. Makes me feel good. Makes me look cool. So it's really hard for me to not do those. So I was pretty stupid for a while. It was really out of sheer necessity of just finally coming to grips with the fact that this just isn't going to get better unless I lay off this stuff. But to your point is there's some real opportunity in there where it forces you to expand your horizons and focus on some things you might have been neglecting or try some new things altogether. Because we all sort of fall into that trap pretty easily of just doing the things that make us feel good, strong, cool, and kind of putting the blinders on certain gaps and weaknesses.
I mean, it's the Sound of Music line, anytime God closes a door or he opens a window. I mean, so you lose your pull-up, but something else. I do have to say you made a great little pun in the middle of that. You said you got to come to grips with
grips.
I like that. So folks,
glad you caught that. Thank you, Dan.
I would like you to all listen to the philosopher Pat Flynn. Come to grips with your pull-up.
Come to grips with the pull-up. Yeah. I'm sure you've had those periods, Dan, where you had to give up something you love for a little bit. Yeah, we all have.
Well, and what the other interesting thing is, I'll stop doing I a couple months ago I bought that incline bench press, which I have funny stories because I just wrote a blog post about when I bought the incline when I was in the 9th grade, and then later in probably the 90s and aughts, I had an incline, and here I am coming back to it again. I love incline bench press. I love it. I can't tell you how much I always have. And yet I'll walk away from it, and then I'll come back to it. It's like, oh, I missed you so much. I love you. I love you, incline bench press. And so one of the things I'm doing in my life now is I'm bringing back exercises that I always like to do. So yesterday I put together a leg extension machine because I've always loved leg extensions. I know, according to some people, it's knee cancer, but I like them. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of gone with this idea in the last couple of years. If I like doing something, well, do it for God's sake.
Right.
Don't quit. I mean, I quit. I keep overthinking things, my friend.
Well, we all fall into that time to time, don't we? All right. Let's get some more questions in here. Marco says, how would Dan combine his two favorite workouts for me, the cardio clean and the get down press? So maybe explain what those are again for people. The cardio clean.
So the cardio clean is I wouldn't say those are my favorites, but I certainly.
Maybe he's saying his favorite workout.
Oh, okay. So yours, the cardio clean, folks, is you're going to alternate left and right. So you do 8 left-handed single kettlebell cleans. Okay, 8, 3 left side front squats, switch sides, 8 cleans, 3 front squats, switch sides, 5 cleans, 2 front squats, switch sides, 5 cleans, 2 front squats, switch sides, 3 cleans, 1 front squat, switch sides, 3 cleans, 1 front squat, bell goes down. The Turkish get down press is when you start in the tall position. You do a press, you go to that cross country ski position, you do a press, knee comes down, you do a press, windshield wiper, do a press, slide into the kettlebell windmill position, do a press, sweep your butt through, tall seated, do a press, to the elbow, do a press, roll to the ground, do a floor press, cradle them down. I think both of those, I mean, I got to tell you something. If you decided to do that for 2 weeks, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do 1 round of the kettlebell, the clean series there, a cardio clean, and then just did a couple of rounds of that Turkish get down press. I don't know how great it would be, but it'd be a really refreshing 2 weeks. It would be very much uh, it would be like adding some Aperol to a delicious club soda with just a hint of perhaps Malibu rum. It would be
Oh
very
yeah.
refreshing. Yeah,
Perfect for the season. I like that.
perfect for the season. Add a little pineapple, maybe. I don't know. I don't
Mm.
know. But it would be it would be a refreshing 2 weeks. I'll tell you that. You would you're going to get a lot of work in at a very at a low cost. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question says, "Hello, Pat and Dan. I have a question about the double clean. Any advice on making it smoother? I tend to overshoot during the up part, and the down part is hard to control. Common problem, isn't it, Dan? How can we
Because
help?"
make sure if you're not swinging those cleans, and I'm talking about every single rep. So if you go to my YouTube, I talk about this. You start in that uh, American football long snapper position. You slide the bell, you shoot it through your hips, and then you swing. Quiet elbows, not big elbows. Quiet. I can't show it here, can I?
A little
So
bit. We can get it. We get the gist. There we go.
boom,
Yep.
quiet elbows, not big elbows. That's the barbell. This is the kettlebell. Most people over tug the kettlebell clean. The work is done in that hinge, and you pop it into position. I said this, and I want you to respond. Do you swing every single kettlebell? Do you swing every single kettlebell clean? Answer that for me, Radif Eddie Winjina. Uh, do you swing every time? Because if you're dead stopping, then you're not doing a kettlebell swing. You're not doing a kettlebell clean. I said the other day somewhere, and it could have been here too, because the two foundational kettlebell movements 20 years ago were the swing and the Turkish get up, and I am just so sick of all the minutia of both of them that I don't know if I do either of them anymore. You know, Mike Brown said something really interesting yesterday in our workout. He said he got advice when we first started doing Turkish get-ups that until you do 1,000 on both sides, you should never add any load. And I thought, well, I like that idea. I mean, that's a little bit overkill, but it was just interesting how. But the reason I like the clean so much, Patrick, and to answer the question here, is everybody knows that when I'm here, I have finished the clean. That
You're
I am
finished. Yeah.
finished.
It's a
Whereas
clear stop. Right.
there's
Yeah.
a clear the same with the snatch, and I'm starting to think because of the fact that the online environment has taken over, it's even bigger than books, magazines, even certifications. That I almost there's a place I go. It's called Reddit, and I like it very much. But I'll see people almost daily posting, "What do you think of my swing technique?" And I'll look at it and be like, I can't even. By the time I get there, there's 300 responses, all contradictory.
Yeah. Forums aren't always the best place to go for that sort of thing.
I'm trying to be helpful, which is a mistake on my part. But I will say one thing
Should know better, Dan.
Yeah, on the Reddit kettlebell forum, it's really interesting. I don't know what the moderators have done, but I've seen only one negative thing in the last about 2 weeks or so. Someone made fun of what they were wearing. I thought, geez, this grow up, God, what we back? Is this middle school?
Seen that. But yeah, anyways, the other thing, I think I actually got this from you originally, Dan, is when you're doing the clean, think about cleaning to your hip, not your shoulder, right? When you start that transition is important. So if you think about cleaning to your hip, you're naturally going to start to do that nudge, and I like it. Don't over tug. It's just that kind of little nudge you're doing to come right up your center line. The problem is people just initiate that a little too late, and that's why it's bang, bang, bang. But if you think about just cleaning to your hip, starting that little nudge sooner than you think you have to, that little tweak with timing tends to smooth things out considerably there. Yep.
And Patrick, our brother in kettlebells, Jeff Hemingway, always says he teaches that you're pulling out six shooters in a draw, a Western, you're
tombstone style.
Tombstone, sorry about that. It's, and I like that because, and the other thing too is try to make sure, and when I do that, I'm always trying to squeeze my thumbs onto my pecs. at the finish.
Yeah, that's good.
But again, I mean, I like the clean and the snatch because I can look at a picture and know that they've completed it and their technique must. Whereas the swing, I don't. Somebody now is teaching. One of these experts is teaching that the T-Rex finish is the correct way to do swings, and I'm like, oh, just I mean, whatever. And it's just like those guys who teach rotational swings. It's like, God, we have, I'm standing on a Bosu ball doing rotational swings, eating a ham sandwich. I'm somehow better. Just, I mean, no wonder people are confused. We had a conversation this morning. Erica has to take aspirin because of, the blood clotting. Okay. And I can tell you not long ago when I was told that aspirin will kill you, not long ago after that, I should take an aspirin every day. Then it'll kill you. Now, it's like wine is good, wine is bad. I'm drinking this.
Coffee good, coffee bad.
Coffee good, coffee bad. This is why I feel for people. I would say I spend, and I don't think I exaggerate, hours every day since 1965 thinking and studying and understanding weightlifting. I think I really know a lot. I'm not just patting myself on the back, Pat. This is my 60th year of lifting weights, okay? That's a fairly long. I'm almost up to 50 years of coaching. It's close. It'll be there in a couple of years. 50 years. I got massive libraries. I go to you've seen me. I go to certifications. I take the certs. I do the stuff. And when I see this stuff, it's like no wonder the people are confused because all you need to do is go to the next video and it says the exact opposite of what you just heard.
Well, yeah, that's sort of the unfortunate nature of so much of YouTube and social media, right? People trying to be different so they can have a hook and get the views or this or that.
Well, and when I go back to my first forum I ever visited online, the Moo Cow forum, where it was the women they were all Atkins women who had lost at least 100 pounds doing Atkins. And when they recommended lifting, it was overhead press and squat or overhead press and deadlift. And I look at that from 1998 and go,
bring back the Moo Cow forum.
They are so, and oh God, they were wonderful people and such a supportive group. And then and I was the only male invited in, which meant a lot to me. And
that was the name. It was the Moo Cow forum.
It was, and it was all about because they ate so much steak.
The steak and dairy or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it was Atkins. Yeah,
so. It was Atkins. Yeah, that's funny. All right, let's take a few more here. Let me scroll up.
I know on time
I have like 10 more minutes. We got that picnic, that other picnic here. Aaron says, can you recommend basic movement exercises you can do while traveling when you've been forced by your spouse to leave the equipment at home?
Yeah, you do what I do, Aaron. By the way, thanks for using your name, Aaron. I really appreciate that.
It's nice.
I don't know why if you're going to say something online that you have to be anonymous about, don't say it. It's like what Pavel said to me one time. He goes, oh yeah, people make fun, but they never come up to me in my face and say anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's funny. Not because Pavel would kick their ass. Now, I would not hurt any of you if you say anything negative, but I would hire someone to hurt you.
But he's got the money to get the job done. Yeah.
So Ron, what I do, no matter when I travel, in fact, it sits in so I travel a lot. So I have an Away bag. AWAY is the company I buy luggage from. And they have a built-in, the built-in handle, the telescoping handle. It perfectly fits a Brett Contreras glute loop and a Perform Better mini band. Now, the Perform Better mini band costs $1.50, and you can use it to do glute loop work. The only problem is it rips the hair off my thighs. So, and that is the reason I use glute loops, folks. I'm not proud of it. So, when I travel, I do a hip thrust clamshell workout almost the moment I get to the hotel. You can also do, now one fun thing to do with the glutes or the mini bands is if you put them around your, like here, and when you're doing push-ups You can play around with like we used to call these TikTok push-ups, or well, actually they were called alligator push-ups. It's a Peter Pan reference where I do a push-up and then I reach one hand ahead. I do a push-up, I reach a hand ahead. Somebody says, "Well, what do you do with your feet?" Well, I guess you should bring them along with you. But,
I think they'll probably figure it out on their own.
I always love it when people ask that question. What do you do with your feet? Oh, I plant them and I just go 50 feet. I like to go about 60, 70 feet and leave my foot in the same spot. Really? So you can do TikTok push-ups where you go push up, tick, tock, tick. And if you have the bands on, you really get a lot of almost press work, crawling work. And it becomes a great little crawl. And by the way, you can also just crawl with the bands around the wrists here. But I mean, if you do hip thrust, clamshells, and the TikTok push-up, or just push-ups, you know what? That's pretty good. Oh, and then you can also put the mini bands around your socks and do monster walks. And that for me relieves most of the physical stress I get from flying from Salt Lake City to Heathrow.
Nice. Yeah, I knew you would have good advice on this one, Dan. Jet setter that you are.
Oh,
all right.
And then Aaron, walk. There you go.
All right. Jason says, "Hey, I added kettlebell snatches to part of my workout last week. I took Dan's advice and started with the 16 kilogram, and that felt so good that I went up to the 20. Any recommendations on sets and reps going forward?"
You know, Pat and I have talked about this on this podcast many times. The problem with the kettlebell snatch is it's hard to do. It's hard to do the kettlebell snatch 3 days a week because if you get high volume, it's exhausting. I would say this. Maybe use the 16 to get those high reps in. Let me give you one of the workouts we used to prep people for the RKC snatch test. So with the 16, I'm going to go left to right on this. Okay, so 20, 20, 20, 20, 15, 15, 15, 15, 10, 10, 10, 10. Then switch to the 20, 5, 5, 5, 5. That's 200 snatches. Now, that workout could take you an hour, perhaps, for some of you gentle listeners. For some of us, it takes me 3 minutes. Okay, that was a joke. That was a joke, I'm sure. So I made a joke about the ABC that got its... So I also joke sometimes on my podcast, Patrick, that online people are clean and jerking 600 pounds every minute on the minute.
Very believable.
People seem to get that that's a joke. But if I say anything in the kettlebell world, they'll start, "Oh yeah, Dan John says I got to do 200 snatches in 3 minutes." So for me, that would be the hard workout of the week. I would also, if I were you, probably have a 16-day, maybe you just see how fast you can get 100 snatches, and with no, so it's, if you get the 13 and switch hands, 14, 15, 16, 17, however it works out.
However it works out.
The other day we grab the 20 and do a concerted, do a nice focused, maybe just a gentle nudge up from 50 to 100. Okay.
Yeah, good. JBJ says, Dan, can you expand on your gentle fat loss theory of nudging fat loss and why you prefer the easy strength workouts to the more intense ones?
Yeah, so I'm 68. It only took me 68 years to understand this. I grew up in a system that felt that fat loss had to be torched or scorched or burned. And it's great, except the body responds by wanting to refill. But so I was looking at my journal the other day, and I was 227 in November, and I'm 207 today. So 20-pound fat loss. And there's been some changes. I've changed my workout a little bit. Certainly, I am much more calorie conscious. But my daily. So JBJ, it's interesting because it cost me $2,600 to survive in this house. That includes all the bills and food. Okay. My calorie daily is also 2,600. My
How
goal
convenient.
I know. So it's real fun for me. Yeah. So my goal weight is to get down, ultimately, is to get down to 200 pounds. And I'm giving myself a year to do it. So half a pound a month. If I do that, JBJ, I wish I knew your actual name. Just give me a name to call you, okay? If if I lose half a pound a month for a year, 6 pounds, what are the chances that the lessons learned, the discipline, and the fat loss will remain? What are the chances of that? They're pretty high. If I lose 6 pounds overnight doing a sauna and a cleanse, what are the chances of my body rebounding that to gaining 7 pounds over the next week? Almost, from my experience, 100%. So, two things. I'm in about 100 to probably about 100 calorie deficit a day as I walk around. Okay, probably 100. All right. So 100 calories. I also do 10,000 steps, and yesterday was 12 because I have this device that I keep in my pocket that I've shared many times. My pedometer. If I do 10,000 steps a day, forget about the lifting, forget about uh, some other things. If I'm sleeping, getting my sleep, I get the 10,000 steps in. 10,000 steps for me. I was on a phone call with my friend Brian yesterday. I was doing circles in the backyard just to see how many I would get in it. And
Hmm.
I couldn't believe how many steps I got in.
It's a great little tip. Anytime you got a phone call, take it on a walk.
Yeah. So if I'm walking 10,000 steps a day, my body doesn't respond with the F word. It responds with, all right. But if I do the snatch test or the Secret Service snatch test, or if I do something, my body responds like, what's going on? Let's add some layers of fat. So first, you nudge on the you nudge with more walking. I would imagine 10,000 steps a day for me probably sneaks up to, because it's at least an hour to do it. I mean, probably an hour and a half, probably an extra 200, 300, 400 calorie burn. And then with my caloric, my diet, I'm 100 calories shy.
Hmm.
So that combination adds up to, I'm not eating 100 calories and I'm burning an additional 400. So let's just magically say that's 500 calories. If I just did that, 500 times 7 is 3,500 calories. This is all, I know this is all BS math, but I'm doing my best to show the point, which means technically each week I should be trending a pound down on fat loss. If I try to chase it and race it, by the way, some of those great before and after testimonials that movie stars have had and people, it's my whole thing, JBJ, about the whole thing of, I'm a believer in before, after, and then after shots.
Yeah, after. Hmm.
So you take a before, you start a program, you take an after, and then a year later, send me the picture. Very often you look like your before picture. Very few people look like their after picture. Their after picture. So my goal by nudging is that my before after picture is going to still look like I've adhered to the program. The reason I lift weights as part of a fat loss strategy is because I think that, because I wouldn't say it's funny. When I give you the number of my protein intake, Patrick, it's going to sound really high until you do the math. Tufts University's diet nutrition newsletter last month noted that most of the research points to the zero 0.8 number per pound a day.
Hmm.
Sorry about this, folks, about doing all this math. So let's just say I weigh 200 pounds. That means I need 160 grams of protein a day. I got to tell you, folks, 160 grams of protein. Now, I've done more in my life, but to get there and it's easy with the calories, but I am a satiated gentleman
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
time. So I was telling somebody yesterday, a guy from Florida, good dude, man. I like this guy. And I was telling him, I said, at 160 grams, I told him my breakfast. You know, my breakfast is a protein shake, which has
Mhm.
30 grams, two eggs, cottage cheese. And he goes, well, that's a lot of protein for breakfast. And I go, well, yeah, that might be true, but I've got to get to 160, according to the Tufts
Yeah.
newsletter. To get there means, that means steak, that means hamburger, that means fish, that means tuna fish, that means, to get there. Now, and so I feel like I'm rambling, but I know I'm making the point as best I can. You got to get your sleep. Now, there's nothing magical about 10,000 steps, and we all know that we all now know it's from a company but to me, 10,000 steps is like 8 glasses of water every day. No, there's no science, but it's a good number. Okay, so sleep, the steps, a reasonable, doable, repeatable caloric restriction. 100 calories is all you really need. But you have to know what the hell you're eating. And then you add weightlifting to keep the lean body mass, or in my case,
Build it to enormous proportions.
So that's why. JBJ, I don't know how well I answered it, but so my goal is to get my weight down and then keep it down. Ideally, I'm not going to get talked into another Highland game where I have to get myself back up to 240, 250. Ideally, when Dave Turner asked me I had to weigh over 102 for the state meet. I was like, Dave, I'm working so hard and that's why the state meet was in November. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got up to 227, I weighed 102.1 at the state weightlifting meet. So I was at 102 plus, but barely. And I just think because I want to be around for my grandkids, and I can hear in the background of Pat's house. You're not far from a house full of grandkids too, Patrick.
Yeah, he'll be here sooner than I'm sure I'm ready for. Yeah. You hear the little monsters down there.
Did I do okay? I mean, did I make sense on that?
I think it was a very thorough response, Dan. It offered many reinforcing perspectives, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And how does Patrick teach his babies how to walk? Does he scream at them or does he nudge them? How does Patrick teach his kids how to read? Does he scream at them, read more, or does he nudge them along? It's encouraging. The best way to get most great things in life is a little and often over the long haul. And that is the principles I use for caloric.
Yeah, great. Dan, what are you working on this week? Oh, yeah, sorry. Do you have another point you want to throw in there?
Awaken Zen's question, but maybe that's where... I guess the bodybuilders are all lining up to hate kettlebells. Well, good for them. And some of the power lifters hate kettlebells, and good for them. And a lot of kettlebellers hate other things, and good for them. Folks, you're never going to get ahead by being negative. And always remember, my mom used to say, you never know what's going on in somebody else's bedroom. You never know what's going on in anyone else's wallet.
It's great advice, actually.
And so just, honestly, who gives a flying hunk of poo-poo about what people think? If you're doing what makes you happy and makes you get your goals, God bless you.
Okay. Yeah, keep at it, man. That's all that needs to be said about that. I agree.
What I'm working on right now, each week, I'm writing an article, and it's been kind of fun putting them over on the essay.
Cool.
I'm trying to organize the armor building stuff into a more palatable thing, but I do what I can. Oh, and tomorrow I will be doing leg extensions in my workout. So, folks, if you hear reports from Murray, Utah, that there's a tremendous set of quads, you'll know it's me.
Keep an eye on the Richter scale, my friends. Dan, thank you. As always, it's picnic time, but we will see everybody next week. We appreciate you, your questions. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Happy lifting. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.